Yeah, hi folks. Yes, the latest National Party leadership change won't improve anything. In fact, it's probably made it worse. Christopher Luxon is John Key 2.0. He's another UN globalist. And you just got to listen to the words he uses like reset and sustainability, etc., to figure that one out. And he's already indicated he will follow John Key on social issues as well. Anyway, today I'll start off with this, and it's very easy to connect the dots.
It happens to everyone. Waiting in line for your morning coffee, you scroll social media and news on your phone. What you find depresses you. Thousands of migrants are fleeing a civil war, risking their lives only to be turned back at borders. Speculations have sent the housing markets into a frenzy, and employment numbers are tumbling down. Journalists have uncovered a decades-long cover-up of child abuse by coaches and doctors within competitive gymnastics in your country. Closing the news app, you open your family group chat. Maybe one of your siblings has posted something funny, and at this rate, you could use some cheering up. The group chat has blown up overnight, and what you see makes your heart sink. Bushfires are raging again, and there's one burning only 2 suburbs over from where your cousins live. Everyone is frantic with worry. At this point, you walk away, coffee in hand, tense, miserable, and confused. You think, this can't go on. Something needs to be done. Someone needs to step up. We need a plan to fix all this social injustice, economic chaos, and environmental destruction. This is where the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, come in. Fixing the kinds of problems that bring your entire day down in the morning coffee line can't happen in just one way. The SDGs cover sustainability from different angles: socially, economically, and environmentally. They set global goals for the 3 Ps: people, planet, and prosperity. The SDGs form the heart of the 2030 Agenda, an action plan adopted by all 193 countries of the United Nations. They call for decent jobs, quality education, good health, gender and income equality, clean energy and water, biodiversity, and climate action.
Anyway, now to New Zealand's Sustainable Business Council.
I'm really pleased to be here, not just as a signatory, as a signatory to the Climate Change Commission and a member of the SBC, but this is, the work that the 2 organisations are doing has been so important. And for staff, this is the year that we have launched ourselves a really big commitment through our newspapers and website to educating and informing people about what's happening with our climate and environment. And I have to say that, a year or 2 ago, people would have thought that nobody really wanted to read that content. And every week we have thousands and thousands of people logging in to read the stories. And what they really tell us is that they want to make change and they want to know what to do.
Over the past 6 months, we've come to realise that when confronted by massive international challenges, such as the COVID pandemic, New Zealand is equal to the task. We take our typically practical approach to problems of any scale. And not only does this mean we are able to manage these challenges for ourselves, we inspire others to follow our example. Climate change will be the same. It can seem insurmountable, but from Coupe to Shepherd to Hillary, we have shown time and again that we can lead the way.
The business community is leading, has taken a position of responsible leadership in climate action. In many ways, you could argue that the business community is moving ahead of where government is currently acting. The business community understands more than most that climate action is now an inevitable part of future planning and strategy so that businesses can thrive in a climate-resistant, low-emissions world. This partnership is critical. There is no single silver bullet. There is no single green cannonball that we can lob into the future that will resolve this challenge for us.
Your ongoing leadership and partnership is critical to maintaining the momentum we've started with the Zero Carbon Bill. And we haven't really got any time to sit on our hands any longer. We have to keep going one step at a time, and we need to find solutions and unlock the transition.
When I think about the SBC and CLC members, they're already demonstrating that they are prepared to work collaboratively to develop solutions and build the capability required to deliver a change. They've also shown that they are prepared to be transparent in their actions and, importantly, be held accountable for delivery of those outcomes. So when you sign up to the CLC pledge or you join the SBC, you are committing to taking action both on climate and also the broader sustainability agenda.
The first thing is to use our voice around how the $14 billion odd of money that has been set aside to invest in the COVID response, to make sure that that is well spent, where people are, the decision makers are mindful of the ways in which we can take progress on climate change and deal with clearly the economic realities that we have.
And so leaders are going to need that fortitude. They're going to need those insights. They're going to need to be able to work together with others. They're going to need to be bold sometimes to achieve these things. But it's eminently doable.
Now, I wonder who is tied in with these climate zealots.
I'll first ask Christopher to come forward. Christopher was appointed Group General Manager International Airline at Air New Zealand in May 2011, took over the role of CEO in January 2013. Prior to joining Air New Zealand, he was President and Chief Executive Officer at Unilever Canada. It was one of several senior leadership roles he had during an 18-year career at Unilever, where he worked in New Zealand, Australia, Asia, Europe and North America. So he's been flying most of his life, as I well know. Christopher, floor is yours.
Awesome. Gee, I've got to say up front, it's very, very difficult getting CEOs to talk for less than 10 minutes or 5 minutes. We're like Fidel Castro, we can go for 7 hours. I want to say a big thank you to Penny. I think this is an absolutely fantastic event, and the work of the SBC to actually genuinely mainstream sustainability into this conversation is absolutely fantastic. So this is the starting point, and this is the anchor, and the work that you've done already has just been really brilliant. So well done. I thought in the comments that I would make today, just really in 3 buckets. The first is really, what is the burning platform for sustainability? The second thing is, what is Air New Zealand doing with our sustainability framework? And then thirdly, talk a little bit about some of the governance things that we're bringing to that process that I think are quite unique and are challenging us as a business and as a leadership team. The first thing I'd say is, what's the burning platform? Because I think the comments are right, that we're still in the process of mainstreaming sustainability. Phil and I came from a conversation this morning called Mood of the Boardroom in Auckland, and it's still getting into the bloodstream of our business community. They're up for it, but they don't quite know what it is and what it's about. But I'd just say, if we take a step back, we have got unprecedented global challenges. Just forget about New Zealand for a bit, just think about ourselves as business leaders. We really have some unprecedented challenges. We've got, as I was writing it down, climate change, rising temperatures, we've got population growth.
There he is, climate change. Now, the top 3 people in his party are all climate change zealots. Now, this guy is going to sell New Zealand down the drain, just like John Key did. And here he is selling himself out.
A lot of people talk about your religion and are you anti-abortion? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think all it is, I'm a pro-life person, so I don't support abortion or euthanasia or the death penalty.
Do you think it's murder? Do you think abortion's murder?
Well, look, I hold a view that it's a pro-life decision. If you look at my colleague and my friend Nicola Willis, she has a pro-choice decision. I think the reality is there are New Zealanders that have those views, pro-life or pro-choice, but actually we can hold different views and be respectful of each other as a consequence.
I know, but it's quite an extreme view to think it's murder.
So how is a baby aborted at 9 months not murder? Or how is a baby left to die after a botched abortion not murder?
No, I'm not going there, to be honest, Ryan. I just have a view that I'm just pro-life. That's all it is. It's as simple as that.
Can you, because this is going to, I'm sure it's going to keep coming up, you know, those on the left and the media and whatnot will keep talking about it. So can we take this off the table this morning? Can you just say you won't touch abortion laws while you're Prime Minister?
Absolutely. That was settled in the last Parliament, and that's settled.
So he's happy about this.
That the human child developing in the womb is us. It's every one of us, just that little bit younger. There is no miracle through the birth canal where all of a sudden nothing becomes something. That is just not feasible. We have a bill where abortion right up to birth is okay. Whether it could happen, it happens once, 100 times 500 is irrelevant. It's what this bill enables. It's far too radical. Abortion because a baby is disabled is okay. An abortion because the baby's a girl is okay, which is really quite a challenge, I imagine, for modern feminists, including the fact that half the babies aborted are women. You know, go feminism, we're going to knock out half the babies that are girls. Well done there, ladies. Or modern feminists. Down syndrome children can be aborted. Again, whether or not it happens or not, it's irrelevant. The bill allows it. The bill no longer has any ability to take in cultural considerations. And again, that should be a challenge to members who wax lyrical in this House about cultural values and the Treaty of Waitangi. And yet here, in a life and death issue, they're choosing to ignore it. No notification for parents, Mr. Speaker, at all. And I put forward an SOP saying, I just want to make it absolutely abundantly black and white clear in this legislation that if and when, and it does happen, an abortion is botched, that the child will absolutely definitively receive health care. And it breaks my heart to think that this House voted it down. That's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. And then the attack on conscience rights. Awful. Just awful. But believe it or not, on days like today, I'm actually not a pessimist. You know why? Because I can smell the fear in this House from the pro-abortion side. The absolute reeking, stinking fear. And you know why, Mr. Speaker? Is because the pro-abortion side know their position is weak, fundamentally weak. And I'm going to illustrate in the last few minutes of why, because I want to bring a message of hope. They are weak and they are fearful because they're anti-science. They always move against the science of the human child of conception, what is developing. They fear the science. They won't talk about it at all. The baby that has a heartbeat at 6 weeks, its own DNA, that it can feel pain, thus science is ignored. You can feel the fear. Euphemisms. Euphemisms abound in this debate. My God, we will never talk about a baby. We'll talk about cells. We'll talk about clumps. We'll talk about fetuses. In fact, we'll try to use English language to never use it. Euphemisms throughout history have been used in an Orwellian way. Well, actually, that's probably a contradiction. He wrote that in 84, but it's an Orwellian way to avoid reality. Euphemisms and those who use it show great weakness and fear, and I can smell it here today. Safe spaces, great to see that defeated, a disgusting attempt of procedural override there. But why safe spaces? Lo behold, or betide, that someone might stand out of an abortion clinic. And as I mentioned in my committee stage, what's more scary than a nun with a set of rosary beads standing outside an abortion clinic? Again, it points to the fear and the weakness, the banning of conscience rights. We don't want people thinking. My God, we don't want our doctors, nurses and others thinking. We're going to ban them from having an opinion. Yes, that is awful, but I tell you now, that is an expression of fear and of weakness. The talk of stigma and shame becoming the latest progressive tools. It's a form of censorship. No one should ever feel a shame or stigma for anything, of course, unless it's the progressives who want you and people like me. My God, I'm a Roman Catholic. That is one of the worst and the most intolerable things possible. I'm to feel ashamed, but you listen from the progressive side, they move very hard now, stigma and shame, a censorship of thought. Again, for the pro-lifers, have hope. This shows great fear and weakness on the pro-abortion side. They call us extremists, sort of the opposite of euphemisms. Now, maybe I'm an extremist. Colleagues are probably thinking that at the moment. Don't really care. But they're very, very clear. It's ironic, of course, those who yell at anyone who's an extremist because they hold, a pro-life scientific view are just the very people who attack populism. They won't talk to the topic. They'll just use names and labels. Take hope, people. Take hope. Rushing this through, of course. I mean, is there something else happening in society at the moment? Yes, COVID-19. Hey, but we're going to spend hours more in this house debating abortion. Unbelievable. And more than happy, of course, more than happy to rush this through with everyone distracted. And I want to say here at this moment, the complicity once again of the media who have not fully embraced or reported this topic. They are scared, and that includes the New Zealand media. And I include, and or rather implore, New Zealanders to look far more widely for truth than what they'll find in mainstream media here in New Zealand. They are scared as well. They are scared of the truth, and they will do everything they can to shut people like me and you down.
So true. Now, there's a real leader right there. Now, listen closely to what Chris Finlayson says. Now, he's the guy that helped John Key push co-governance and separatism in New Zealand.
Louis, your observations on this?
Sure. Chris Luxon is going to have to make some difficult calls on issues of co-governance with the Māori Health Authority and more immediately Three Waters. If he makes a difficult call and it says he opposes co-governance in Three Waters, does that mean his relationship with iwi is essentially a lost cause at that point?
I think that co-governance has had a bad press over the years, but I developed a whole lot of co-governance regimes so that Maori have an opportunity to make a contribution. I was particularly interested in co-governance regimes for natural resources, but I don't necessarily see it as a problem, and I think that one has to be careful not to be waylaid by cliches like one law for all and one system for all, because I think we have to be a bit more sophisticated than that, and I'm sure that Christopher and his team will see the value of co-governance in a range of areas.
So he believes Luxon will be pro-co-governance. Yeah, now folks, when John Key and Chris Finlayson back someone, you automatically know the word he pua pua will never be mentioned by the National Party again.